kids and I teach in high school.
Oh, that's right.
The fact I'm healthy in January is a true testament to like myself. So,
Absolutely. And I'll tell you how I got this nasty illness. It was my own fault. Anyway,
mhm.
hi, everybody, and welcome to Bariatric Care. I am Dr. Connie Stapleton, and I have somebody I hope you are familiar with already. But if you're not, I want to introduce you to Rob. I don't know if you want your last name out there, Rob, or not, but we're going to put your contact information up so everybody can contact you if that's something you are interested in doing. So, welcome
Demedio,
to Bariatric
nice
Care.
Irish name, you know?
Yeah, Demedio, nice Irish
Hmm.
name. Well, that makes me really happy because I'm an Irish lass myself.
Yes. It's funny. I'm half Irish, half Italian. My wife is half Irish and half Italian. So both sides felt that like I kept it right. So,
How did you meet her?
um, funny story. Both of our families made wine together. So like our grandparents have known each other since forever.
No.
It's generational that we knew. So it was one of those that we actually dated for 2 years, kind of in secrecy because we didn't want the families to know. And then it was one of those like, oh, by the way, we're dating, and oh, by the way, we're engaged, and oh, by the way, we set a date. So
My God, that is
yeah,
an awesome story.
yeah,
So I'm digging into that a little bit deeper here because I love. Someday I'm going to write a book called How I Met Your Mother.
oh yeah,
Really? So
absolutely.
did you know each other as kids?
We knew each other since high school. I actually,
Oh my gosh.
in the worst way possible, I failed a course in college, and my wife was taking one extra course. So we had to both go to summer school for two very different reasons. And
That's
her mother was talking to my mother, and my mother thought, as punishment, you're going to take this student to school every day so that you go to school in the summertime. Lo and behold, we met. The car rides were 40 minutes each way,
get
Monday to
out of here.
Thursday for one summer, and that kind of kicked it off. So I showed you, Mom.
That is the best. Thank you. Punish me again, please.
Yeah, yeah.
That is so cool. How long you guys been married?
We are on, I think, 12 years. We hit 12 years
Oh,
April 1st. Will be our anniversary.
congratulations.
So,
That's
yeah.
beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah, so your lives, all of your lives have changed pretty dramatically.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. So when did you actually have bariatric surgery?
So I had bariatric surgery the day after Father's Day 2020. I went through Penn Medicine. They had me do a 6 month program beforehand at my
Nice.
highest weight. Yes. And I can't stress enough. Penn doesn't pay me a dime, but I tell everyone who will listen. The team over there was so good they started me on bariatric behavior goals. And I actually keep my Bible with me. And one of the best things that they did is instead of throwing the book, which we hear so many programs do, and talk about it, they really started from the first meeting of, I want you to pick one and I just want you to incorporate it into your life. So I still keep mine. The first nutrition goal that I set was that I was going to decrease or eliminate carbonated drinks. And that small, slow win just piled on to more things and more things and more things. And I had lost 50 pounds prior to surgery.
Oh
So,
my gosh,
yeah.
that's amazing. You know, that thing you just said there, a little win adds to another win, adds to another win. And so when people ask me, how do I maintain motivation? That's exactly how you do it.
So
You have a
important.
little win, then you have another little win, and you start believing that you can win and you can
Yeah.
do these things.
Yeah.
So tell me more about that program. That's
So
six
with 6 months. So it was one of those they had the initial consult. And one of the things that I was really proud with is they told me, we just want you to track for the first month and we don't care what you eat. We just want you to get into the habit of tracking, looking, and visiting. And Connie, when I tell you it was revelatory, I did not realize because we're coming into NFL playoffs, I could eat 6,000 calories and drink an additional 2,000 calories on an NFL Sunday. And after
Wow,
doing that, it was revelatory of, oh my
I
goodness, what am I
guess.
doing to myself? So when people say, like, how did you lose the first 50 pounds? It was things like I went from having like two hoagies at lunch, which, is a sub everywhere other than the Philadelphia area, down to one. So with small changes like that, where people would ask, like, "Oh, how are you? You look great. What are you doing?" It's like I went from 4 slices of pizza at dinner to 3 slices of pizza. So it was just small
Yes.
incremental, because every time before I would get so hyper focused, especially now that we're in New Year time.
Yes.
I would live on chicken broccoli and diet air. And by around this time, the 12th, I would completely be off the rails and eating and drinking and making up for those lost 11 days.
Did you just say diet air?
Oh, yeah, it's delicious. You
That's
know, it's that New Year's resolution meal.
hysterical.
Yeah, yeah. I always joke it's chicken broccoli and diet air is the diet that we put ourselves on
Oh
like
my
January
God.
2nd, and we're gonna live on that. So
That is brilliant. Do
yeah.
you know I've been doing this work for a long time. I've never heard the term diet air. That's one of
Well,
my favorite things.
well, everyone, it's been great being on. I finally taught Connie, so tune in next week to see the real guest to come to.
Let me tell you something. I learn from people every single day. Oh my gosh. And it is amazing the things
Yeah,
that I get to learn.
and that was one of those things that Penn even started me on, just walking 5,000 steps a day. And I slowly worked up
Nice.
to getting 15,000 steps a day. And I held 15,000 steps a day for 435 days in a row.
You are a
So,
tracker.
yeah, I am a habit and mindset and food tracker, and it's
That's
done
beautiful. And it
wonders for me.
works. That stuff
Yeah,
works.
yeah, it's funny because in men's support it comes up all the time, and one of the things I share is I'm working with a registered dietitian, and they could look at. She asked me what happened on December 10th, and I was like, I don't remember what happened on December 10th, but she's looking over my notes, so I went into my calendar, my Google
Yeah.
Calendar, and I could tell from my agenda I remembered exactly what triggered me emotionally that caused me to go off the rails of my meal prep. And here's where it got crazier, Connie. I went into my bank statement and said, what did I spend on December 10th? And I realized I food and retail therapied, and I knew exactly what caused it, what my reactions were. And I remember the 11th, I felt like garbage. So it's one of those that,
Wow.
I get that data can be tough for people, but when you collect it naturally, it's always there and it lives in the cloud like everything else. So,
That
yeah.
is powerful. Seriously, Rob.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. And the fact that you saw and were aware, and I'm glad you said about that money thing because that is something that we do, right?
Yeah.
In addition to food or alcohol or shopping,
Oh, yeah.
it's like retail therapy,
It was
which
retail
is
therapy.
just a way
Yeah,
to, it's just an excuse for spending money, right? Make me feel
exactly.
better.
And even from tracking my money, it was something that I realized because I started doing Dave Ramsey's program in February of 2020. So I'm getting ready for surgery. The whole world shuts down. I'm told I'm not allowed,
Gosh.
I'm changing my eating, I'm changing my spending, and now I'm locked in the house with my kids. And it was revelatory, but I didn't realize I was spending $700 a month on fast, casual, or sneak eating. So not taking the wife and kids out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner. That's a different budget. This was literally Taco Bell. So by slowly, yeah.
Wow.
And when I realized that, I broke. Like I cried to my wife of I thought she was gonna leave. I really
Oh,
did. Because I had to turn to my wife after a month of tracking and say, I'm spending $700 a month in fast food. And God bless her, Kate is amazing. She just realized that no, you need help. And the sooner I realized
oh,
it was okay as a man to not only seek help, but share into the world that I needed help, it just went. And from there, I knocked out 30K of debt last year. I'm taking care of everything yeah, yeah. Like
your life is a transformation here, dude.
all from tracking and all from bariatric surgery. Yeah. But
She's probably well, I'm going to disagree with you on that because it's a lot of hard work and effort on your part.
yeah, I wouldn't argue that either. But
Yeah.
it was these small behavior goals that my surgical program put in place of tracking, and it was one of those that I took the $700 a month and I would put it in a piggy bank, and it was one
Oh
of
my
those every
gosh.
time I beat when I felt a binge coming on and I won, I would put $10 to $15 in the piggy bank, and I actually created a home gym in my basement. We rehauled our basement, and I joke it's literally brought to you by McDonald's because it
Yes.
was just made from the money. Like everyone said, "Oh, how'd you do your basement?" I'm like, I stopped eating triple cheeseburgers 3 times a week. So
That's phenomenal.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh. That's amazing.
yeah,
And I tell you what, so you're being so humble, but I want to brag on you big time because, first of all, the courage it took to do that and face it yourself, that's kind of nauseating, right? It's
I
like,
was more afraid to face my wife, but yes, we'll agree that facing myself, if you're watching this, is definitely scary.
and then there's the wife.
Yeah, yeah.
But going to her and owning that is phenomenal.
I can't be more happy, and I'm so grateful that she stuck with me through all this because when we started dating, I was 220 pounds and I looked beautiful. I was a handsome man, I used to joke. And she didn't really sign up for this, but she stuck with it literally through thick and thin. And, I try to make up for lost time now that I'm doing all this.
So in 12 years, well,
Yes.
10,
Hmm.
because you already, yeah.
Yeah.
So in 10 years, you went from 220 pounds to what?
365 pounds. I think I'm the only person that from their engagement date to their wedding gained 50 pounds. Everyone else is trying to slim into that dress or slim into their tux and look
Right.
good. I expanded. They actually had to take my tuxedo back and redo it because I outgrew it. They're like, the tailor went to my dad like, this never happens. Like they usually come back and it's a little bit here or there, but like he's blowing
Right.
out his tux. So
So was that happy eating or what?
yeah, it was a wedding weight. I had
Yeah.
the woman of my dreams. I was getting married. Life was good. I had a good job, a good roof over my head, and I ate and drank and spent money like I had everything I wanted. And I realized I was just
Oh.
getting fatter and more in debt with everything.
So when you were a younger man, like how
Yeah.
old were you when you got married?
All right. This is why I teach history, not math, people. I'm 38, so
I'm with you.
I think 27, like
Okay.
youngish, youngish.
So between like when you were a kid, like in high school, were you overweight ever?
I was a chubby kid, I will say
Okay.
that. And then in high school, I became an offensive lineman and I got really into weightlifting and
Cool.
I got this great physique and then I went to college and I gained the freshman 15 and then I gained the
Sure.
sophomore 15 and then the junior and the senior and I went to grad school. I have a
Oh
life for every degree I've gained 15
god.
pounds that I go with it.
Oh god.
So yeah, I know. I have 3 degrees and like an extra 115 pounds on the boat.
Oh
So
my god.
yeah.
Okay, so how did your wife gain weight with you?
No, no. Talk about two different people. My wife is so awesome. She's that person who can buy a pack of Oreos, eat like 2 Oreos, leave them on the table open, and not
Yeah.
touch them for a week. They could stay there a week. And she's like, yeah, I had to, and I'm really good. Meanwhile, I'm like that telltale heart thing where it's like the thump, thump,
Yeah.
thump, 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 thump. So it would be one of those for her to get her 2 Oreos. I would then eat a crate of Oreos. And then she'd be like, well, I need 2 more Oreos. So I'll buy the next box of Oreos next week.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it was small little things like that that we just didn't
Mhm.
notice or acknowledge.
It's an amazing thing, and when people in the general public
Yeah.
hear things like that, it's almost impossible for them to understand, right?
Hmm.
It's like, "How could you do that?" Like, people, what I'm a recovering addict, and
Yes.
people do not understand. If you aren't an addict, you can't understand it because it doesn't make any sense. It's an irrational
Yeah.
kind of thing. Like, I could never imagine leaving half a drink on a table. I mean, I'd be like the one running around cleaning those up.
I'll do one better. My wife will have half a beer like 3 times a week. and save the beer for like 2 days later. So it's flat. I don't even know why she
What?
drinks it, but like she has the restraint that she does that. So for someone who deals with addiction, impulsivity, it is like
Yeah,
night and day. But
it
she stuck
is.
with me and she puts up with me. So, I got a
Hey,
winner.
listen, you and I won the jackpot when it comes to spouses, right?
Yes.
Yes. So, it's called love.
Yeah. And it's amazing because if someone told me I'd be doing this today 4 years ago, I couldn't even imagine it. Uh, so it's just a wild ride, and I'm very happy to have my wife and my two kids along with it.
Oh,
So
absolutely. So, as you gained weight over the years, when did it start affecting your health or didn't it? I mean, you're young.
I I got married, and I joke. If you see the TV show King of Queens, if you remember that, the
Mhm.
running joke with my friends was like, "Oh, Rob's just always been the heavier, stockier guy, and he's got a beautiful wife." So I kind of leaned into it, and next thing you
Mhm.
know, it was one of those things that I just thought everything was funny. So it would be that my
Yeah.
primary care physician would be like, "You need a CPAP machine." I'm like, "Sure, why not? Let's sign up for it." And then he's like, "You're burning
Right.
out your CPAP machine." And I'm like, "Oh, we'll just get the next size up." And he was
Yeah.
like, "No, you don't understand. You're burning it
Yeah.
out to the point you're going to go to bed and you're not going to wake up,
Yeah.
even with wearing the machine." And that was the eye opener for me.
Yep. That all of a sudden becomes not so funny.
Yeah. It became not so
Yeah.
funny real fast, but that was my wake up call that made me realize that I needed to do it. I went back to my primary care physician within as soon as I could get an appointment. And the
Right.
crazy part was I researched and was like, I think I want to do bariatric surgery. And my primary care physician, Dr. Gigliotti, is phenomenal. True Italian.
Gigliotti.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
live in an Italian area.
You're talking to an Italian from New Jersey. Do you think I'll have anyone other than a guy named Dr. Gigliotti as a doctor?
Right.
It's like Vinny Boombatz over here. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's one of those where he, in true Italian fashion, he goes, "Well, you might not remember this, but 2 years ago I recommended it, and I kept the referral slip in your chart because you left it in the office." So he had my original referral slip, and I love him to death.
Wow.
He said, "Look, I'm just happy you're going. Please change it this time." And he's still my primary care
Yes.
physician. He is thrilled to death of everything I
I'll
do.
bet.
And I am so grateful. I had so many loving supports around me through this process.
It's a yeah, there are a lot of good people and without good people along my journey, and I'm
Uh huh.
hearing in your journey, we
I could not have done it. I
can't
couldn't
do
have
it
done it
alone.
without community. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So which surgery did you have?
I had, oh, this is always the toughest part of the interview because I can never say vertical sleeve gastrectomy properly.
You just did.
It's like Worcester sauce. Like I can't really say that word either, but like I stumble through it and then I pray that no one calls me on it. So
Jeez. Well, you did well, and you're doing great.
yeah,
Wow, so you had the VSG, and look at all the weight you've lost.
yeah. Yeah, so down 150 pounds. And then that was my lowest weight. And I got back into weightlifting. And then I started working with a registered dietitian because I was at the same weight. I felt restricted in my eating. And I
Ah,
just felt like I was spinning my wheels and not getting any
mm,
progress. And we started a bulk about a month ago. So I'm intentionally eating more of the right foods,
right,
having less binges because I feel less restricted, and I
good,
am actually looking smaller, even though the weight is up another 10 pounds.
right.
So,
That is awesome, and something you just said there is something people need to hear. If you're having a problem with something, you seek the kind of help you need for it.
yeah, I
You
think
d
I
go
think it's
ahead.
just so important, reading your book. Weight loss surgery does not cure your addiction with food. I've probably recommended that book in men's support a
Thank
hundred
you.
times. It's like the best 1-2 punch is I always recommend that and Gia Marson's book on binge eating prevention workbook.
Yes,
And using those two in tandem, it's a great 1-2 punch
that's
of
awesome.
just building community, having a sponsor, educating yourself, and going to therapy. So that's like my top four.
Sponsor? Tell me
Yes.
the sponsor thing.
It's just a friend. It's an accountability friend. It's someone in the community. Jason, the Smithsonian from Barry Nation, is just, we touched upon it, and I probably should have dug deeper. Until you get it, you just don't get it. And to have
Right.
someone who sits in your chair knows your struggle and knows your pain, and someone who I can vent with. My wife is really good, but at the end of the day, she doesn't 100% get it because she hasn't
Right.
been there. I have a great therapist. He gets it as best as he can professionally get it, but he hasn't
Right.
been that he doesn't get that it's 11 o'clock at night and all I want is like three Oreos, but I know those three Oreos are
Right.
going to lead to 30. So,
Right.
yeah, it's
I
having
love that.
accountability is such a huge deal.
And using those resources, using the people who have said, I'm there for you.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
one of the best things that I was able to do was early in the pandemic, the Penn support group shut down because obviously they couldn't have in
Oh,
person.
God.
So it was kind
Yeah.
of like I was left alone in the wilderness. They canceled my
Yeah.
surgery because remember, March 2020,
Oh,
they cancel it
no.
and tell me I'm kind of just in a waiting pattern of you're approved for surgery, but we don't know when to give it to you.
Oh,
So
God.
I scoured the internet and there's not many men out there who share their stories. There's not many support groups, but I found at the time East to West had their own virtual support groups. And I would literally sit on Saturday afternoons, walk on my treadmill with my iPad, and just listen and learn. And
I love that.
yeah,
I people need to hear this, all right? You are doing what it takes. And this is what I really try to tell people, and you are the living example. It's like you gotta do the things that
yeah,
make it happen. You have a freaking sponsor. If people would they're like, I know I need, but I'm afraid to call. I don't want to bother anybody. No, call
yeah.
those people who have invited you to call them.
And
They
just
are the
know,
people
yeah,
who know.
and if you're a man in the community, reach out to me. It's one of those
Yes.
things that we talked about it earlier. I struggled so long and so early on in my process because I was constantly looking for the beacon of where am
Yeah.
I going to find other men in the community? And there would be one or two, and they were always good when I reached out. But I always believe like if you don't see the beacon, you got to be the beacon. So for me, it was one of those things that I kind of just started Men Support Monday on Instagram Live, and it looked like
Ugh.
I was getting all these burner accounts initially because I would have like RD8675309 would be signing into
Eight
these
six seven
lives.
five
Yeah,
three zero nine. I
yeah.
caught that.
You will personally catch every number and thing that I put in. You'll know exactly my age if you're listening and laughing along on this. Uh,
Ah,
but I realize so many men have burner accounts because they don't want it on their public page or they don't want it on the page that their friends and family have. But there's men who are struggling with their weight, who have had the surgery and are seeking help. So I try to show up in the community as best I can so that if anyone needs anything, I'm here. And I hope someone who listens to this hears this and knows they're not alone.
what is that group contact information? We'll do it again at the end,
Yeah,
but plug
it's
it in
just
there right
my
now.
Instagram. It's my weight is history. So I
My
will.
weight is history. I'm going to call you Beacon Rob.
Oh, that'd be a new one. It's
There
that'd be a new one. Beacon Rob.
you go. My weight history.
Yep.
I love my weight is history. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, my weight is history. Great. So you
History
meet on
teacher plus
Mondays?
bariatric patient gives this. So
Oh, that is awesome. That's right. History. People crack me up. So
yeah.
clever. That
Every
is
now
so
and then I get a
cool.
smart one across. So
I know you're really funny.
thank you. I think I'm
So,
bariatric funny. I'm funny for the bariatric community. So it's
well,
like we
you're
do what we can.
fun. So you clearly are reaching people because at the Just Be Yourself Awards show
Yeah.
in Portland not too many months ago, you won all these awards.
I couldn't believe it either. I fell out of my chair. Yeah, anyone who's listening right now, if you can't tell, I'm a bit of a talker. I did not have any idea I was winning. I went up to give the speech and I had nothing to say. I literally stood there and made weird noises like for about 30 seconds and then did my best to say thank you and thank my wife. So,
You did a great job, and I didn't know you
yeah,
before then, and I listened to him and I thought, first, I thought that is a good human being.
thank you.
And second, I thought that is a very good man, human being. And I thought the way you talked about your wife and your children is what touched me because my family is my world.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I thought, oh, and the fact that you're up there saying men need to reach out. What an important message.
It's just so important to me. The question that was asked to the men's panel was, if someone's considering weight loss surgery, what would you tell them? And it was early November. We had just had Halloween, and I was thrilled to death that I was walking with my kids trick or treating. And
Hmm.
for so many years, I relied on using alcohol when I went out for Halloween, and I wouldn't be able to walk that far. I would tell the kids that curfew hit because I didn't feel like walking anymore. And
Wow.
it just, every now and then I realize there's a part of that window that I'm not going to get back. And I fight, I work every day to make sure that I still make every memory and I can make up for whatever lost time that I had with my wife and kids. So,
That is beautiful, and that is something really important for everybody to take into consideration because there are heartaches associated with that, the
yeah,
losses, right?
yeah,
And I think it's important and really critical for people to acknowledge that and yet not live there,
yeah.
right?
It's so important. And it's one of those that, like I look at my oldest daughter, Allie. She's 10. I didn't teach her to ride a bike till she was 8. I taught my youngest daughter, Stella, when she was 5. And Allie was upset. She outright said, "Why did you wait this long to teach me to ride a bike?" And I had to get down on a knee and I had to tell her, like, first off, I could never kneel in front of you before this. Like, or I could kneel, I couldn't
Oh,
get back up. But like
yeah.
I had to look my daughter in the eye and say, like, I was physically unable to teach you to ride a bike.
Wow.
And it just, it still stings to have to say that. And it's one of those things that it's why I'm up at 5 a.m. working out every day. It's, if there's a dad out here, I just want them to hear this message and know that even if you don't want it for yourself, you owe it to your children. And
Oof,
it fuels me every day.
that is powerful. I do not I do not tear up very often, and that got me. Not
It gets
just
me every time I think about it. Just
yeah. I'll tell you what, so many beautiful things to that. And again, you are a good man taking accountability. You looked your daughter in the eye and you were honest with her.
yeah, I'm honest to a T. That's sometimes a fault with me, but I realized I hurt a lot of relationships because of food,
Do you
alcohol,
know
and
what
retail
though?
therapy. So yeah,
That honesty, that honesty with a child who's sharing with you, I'm mad about this,
hmm,
leads to almost instant forgiveness for that kid because you're not lying to her. You're not dismissing her feelings. You're not saying, "Oh, just get over it. Things aren't fair."
yeah.
Right? You
For
oh,
years I did.
I know, me
For
too.
years I
Listen,
turned it on my own children, and that's embarrassing.
absolutely.
Of not
Absolutely.
justifying their emotions. And I've got a good therapist. My wife goes to the same one. We don't go.
Good.
It's funny. We don't go to couples therapy, but we share the same Monday spot. So I'm like, I'm the even Mondays on the calendar. She's
I
the
love
odd
it.
Mondays. He gets his money's worth out of the D'Amelio household. I will say that. Dr.
I
Banford
love
is
it.
probably ready to be done.
It's interesting. A lot of therapists won't do that, won't see a
Yeah.
couple like that. We had a therapist, my husband and I. We both saw the same therapist individually and as a couple, and I think it was the best way for us to do it because she knew all the sides, you
Yeah.
know? It was she and I know we can't credit other people with changing our lives because we're the ones doing the work,
Yeah.
but that woman really helped us change the whole trajectory of our lives, and that's why these people that you are utilizing in your life, you're there. Listen up, everybody. Rob sees a therapist, he sees a dietitian, he has a mentor, this or sponsor.
Yeah.
These are the things it takes. And you talked about your treadmill with your
Yeah. I would
do you
go
know
on
how
to
many
community
hours
meetings. Absolutely.
I work on my computer while I walk on my treadmill?
Yeah. And that when I did the 15,000 steps a day, one of the reasons I share podcasts so much on my Instagram page is I realized through therapy that if your Instagram feed used to be full of decadent food and restaurants, which mine was, my personal page still is, and it's why I don't go on, it's no surprise you're hungry after scrolling for 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So when I started going for walks, my goal was to fill my ears with the positivity that I needed to hear to be successful for bariatric surgery. So it's why, I listen to you, I listen to Dr. Susan Mitchell, Kelly and Mel of our Sleep Like podcast, April,
Yes.
Natalie, and Jason of Barry Nation. I fill my ears up with the voices in the bariatric community. And Kim, my
Definitely.
registered dietitian, Active Bariatric, her podcast is the reason I realized I needed to work with her, because for
Cool.
people who are athletic in the bariatric community, there's not much
Yeah.
resources out there. And she's one who just has changed it. So from listening and learning and just keeping the door and the light open, I've allowed beautiful people to come into my lives. I've gotten to meet almost all of them, and it's been pretty awesome.
It's crazy because when I do a lot of my classes and talk to patients, one of the things I say is you have to immerse yourself in this lifestyle. You have to immerse yourself into the kind of person you want to be. And you are the living example of immersing yourself. I cannot tell you how impressed and grateful I am and happy for you
I'm
that
just
you
happy to
are
see
doing
you.
this.
Going back to the bariatric awards, I told everyone before we recorded, I was scared to talk to you. I've read your
Oh,
book. I dog-eared your book. That's how many times I read it the first time, because it made sense to me. It made me
oh,
realize that, like, as good as bariatric surgery is, it doesn't cure the relationship. And the biggest thing I keep trying to tell people when I talk to them is, if you really want lasting change, it's the lifestyle you talk about, but you have to heal your relationship with food. And I'll be the first to say it. It's not fixed for me. It probably is going to take me
no.
another 20 years to fix it, and it won't be right. But I'm doing the
Right.
work every day.
And
And
that's how you do it. You do the
yeah,
work every day. And some days, like whatever the 10th that
December
was, when
10th.
you
Yeah.
yeah.
I can painfully give you the spikes. And Kim, my dietitian, is so good of, she doesn't judge, she doesn't scold, she just wants to understand so we can tailor the program for it. And
Yes.
it just helps.
Yeah,
So
we learn from the times we mess up.
yes.
My God. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sheesh.
I am an expert on every failed diet of the last 20 years. I have like a lifetime achievement
Oh.
award of what not to do on
Yeah.
every diet. So
Oh my goodness. Well, I thank your wife for loving you the way she does.
yeah, she's
And
picking up the kids now to give us some time to talk. So
oh, that's so sweet. And for all the people that you have reached out to add to your life, it makes such a huge difference. So, when are you going to do your podcast,
I I
Beacon
just
Rob?
I just like being the house guest on everyone else's. So,
I don't
you
know,
know,
dude. I see it in your future.
well, I've got a big 2023 coming up. I'm really focusing this year on how can I show up for this community, and how can I really support in the way that I've been supported. So,
That's
you know that if
beautiful.
you ever need me, if you ever need to do it in the men's community, Connie, I'm here for you. And
You
you
are
just
the man I
you
will
put up
turn to
the
because
M in the sky like Batman, and I'll be there.
So tell me about this gym that McDonald's purchased for you.
It's right over here. It's weird. It's a home gym that has since become a dance studio because my daughters have taken a
Perfect.
bit over. Uh, but when I was first starting out, one thing I see a lot of the men struggle with is they get bariatric surgery, and the first thing they ask me is like, "When can I start deadlifting like 300 pounds?" And I'm like, "It took me a year and a half to get to that." My doctor, and I can't stress enough, talk with your surgical team before you start lifting heavy weights. Um, but it started with just walking on a treadmill. And when it got cold, I realized I wanted to be inside. And it started with buying dumbbells when I could afford it in the budget. So I would save money. And as I got to it, and, my problem is every celebration I had in my life prior to bariatric surgery, the celebration was with money, food, and alcohol. So
Yeah.
I cut all three out in like during the middle of the pandemic.
That's
So I really
impressive.
no, it's a struggle. I can't it really sucked if you're listening to this. Like, I went to my therapist and we had to work on goals. Like, I can't stress enough. I'm like, I have no, she's like, you should be so proud of yourself. I'm like, I have no idea how to show up for myself and pat myself on the back.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
really had to work on what are you going to do? And, like for me, it was I eventually built a home gym. Then I moved to a Planet Fitness. So I am spending $10 a month and it's 3 blocks from my house.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and it's funny because I have to pass the number 3 pizza place in New Jersey, like ranked third best pizza in the entire state
Oh dear.
that's known for pizza. And I have to
Right.
pass 4 bars. So I pass 4 bars and a pizza shop to get to my gym, to give you an idea of like, I'm painfully aware of all the times I walked down that road and made every other choice and I
Wow.
just push further. So,
Isn't that funny? That's a really good metaphor for life, right?
yeah,
You got all these options
yeah.
on the same road.
Oh god, yeah. And the worst part is, if I go one more block over from my gym, it's like the best bakery in South Jersey.
Oh God.
I literally have to. I walk the road of temptation. Like everyone talks about that in a biblical or
That's
like in a
yeah.
recovery sense. I'm like, no, my road is literally littered with pizza shops and booze. I
On the
have
way to the
to.
gym.
Yeah, the only way that Hadnav could get worse for me is if you put like a meth den or something, like some insane level, like a strip club, like something ridiculous on this way. Like
Oh my
literally,
God.
they just need a casino.
Wow.
I guess I should have just said casino. That's got to be the
That's
safest of the
hysterical. Yeah,
three.
that
But
contains all of them, doesn't it?
yeah, I literally walk the line to get to my gym every day,
That's
and
impressive.
I know exactly. I am painfully aware of how many steps it takes to get to the gym. So
Literally and figuratively, right?
yes, so much.
You are truly an inspiration. I'm so excited. We're going to do some work together because a lot of times I have men who want to do like men's groups or, I do retreats
Yeah,
and I'm not comfortable doing that by myself. So we could do a men's retreat.
you say I tell you, I'm like Batman, except I'm not rich. Like Batman is rich. That's half
Is
the
he?
reason he.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. He had that Batmobile in that cave and stuff
he's super
and a
like you
butler.
ever. I never got it because like Bruce
Yeah.
Wayne, like the person who's Batman, he's a super rich dude. He doesn't have to do any of this. Like,
Yeah.
but I guess it's the same thing. Like we're both trying to do what's good for our community. See, I worked
Yeah.
it into like a little heartfelt thing.
That was,
But
oh, that was
you
brilliant.
you just tell me,
Okay.
and I'm there.
And he
So
got, oh, I lost my earbud. Whoops.
there we
Okay,
go.
so here's the deal. If there are men out there listening and you want to do a 5-day freaking phenomenal retreat where you come to Atlanta and you stay for 5 days, you can play in the pool, we can go for boat rides, but Rob will be my co
Yeah,
therapist.
let's do Atlanta. I actually Atlanta's on my bucket list, and one of my big mentors, Ked Uncut, is right down there, and I have asked him so many questions. So I would love
Well,
to come
we'll
to
have him
Atlanta.
come
Same way.
too. We'll
He's
invite him to
phenomenal.
come.
He is phenomenal.
Here's the deal. When we built our house in Atlanta, we
Hmm.
built it to do retreats.
Oh my
So we
goodness.
do them here.
Am I staying with
Yeah.
you?
Yes.
Oh my god. This is like what about Bob for me? This is going to be your worst nightmare. I'm going to bring all the questions. I'm going to have your book and a goldfish when I show up.
No, you're gonna help those other guys.
Yeah, okay. This is a win-win. This is what we talk about where both sides think they're getting something in return for it.
That's exactly right.
But yeah, it's I always joke because when my therapist goes on vacation, I always ask him where and he won't tell me. Like I always try to get it out of him. And he had to remind me, like, you're a Robert. And I'm like, yes, I literally am the Bob from the movie.
You are. What about Bob?
Yeah,
Oh, that would be
exactly.
fun.
What about
So
Bob
here's the
Retreat
deal.
Atlanta this summer? Tickets
That's
still
right.
available, good seats right up front.
That's right.
Free
And there's
goldfish if
only
you subscribe in the first 30 days.
oh,
We
that's
open.
funny because I had a goldfish that I had for many years, just passed. So God bless the goldfish. But yeah, so we can only have 7 guys
Yeah.
and Rob.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
7 dudes and me.
Yep.
Wow, that'd be awesome. So
All right. I'm ready. So as soon as we hear from those first 7 guys,
let's
in
go.
fact, I'll put an email out.
Yeah,
All right,
absolutely.
we're in, and you can, and we'll set the date, and then you can promote it too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Look at
I am
this.
pumped about
We're
that
doing
because
things.
people have asked me. I'm like, I know what's needed, but
Yeah.
now I can do it.
Pancakes in the morning. I'll make pancakes, people. Protein
Protein
pancakes.
pancakes in the
Yep.
morning. Good because I don't cook, but
I
here we
heard
have
that
that.
on Chef Henry's thing.
Henry's.
So
Maybe we could have Henry come.
have Henry look at this. This is all on the fly, people. We're gonna have Chef Henry cook. We're already voluntolding him. I'll come in
Hallelujah.
and do movement, fitness, and walks and mental support. But see, this is what we talk about, Connie, is if you really put positivity out there, you
Yeah,
spend the time to get to know and you reach out, it's amazing what things will happen for you. So
absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me about your certifications that you're getting because I think that's important.
so I am going to be a certified personal trainer and a certified nutrition coach. So what I can do is I can help you build workouts. I can help you work on the mindset and the habit building behaviors that we do. I'm obviously not a registered dietitian, so I cannot make your meal plans for you, but I can help you look at your macros and find a proper way to make them work. So if
That's
I can do
beautiful.
it, anyone can do it.
That's great. Between you and Henry, man, we got that food aspect covered.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't have to cook. I get the
And the
fun part.
exercise.
Yeah.
All I
I'll do
have
the
to do is
dishes.
be the therapist.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the heavy lift for this one.
It's amazing. You're going to be blown away when we do this. That's
I'm
all I can
excited.
tell you.
I'm
These
excited.
are powerful events. Okay, so now we've established that. So
Yeah.
let's have your contact information. I will put it all in the podcast notes. And I am beyond delighted and honored and impressed.
I'm honored. Like, you're my hero. You don't understand. Like, I was so afraid to meet you. The
Oh,
first
stop.
time you emailed me, it took me like 2 days of talking to my wife and being like, Connie Stapleton emailed me. Like, I was
Oh,
like hyperventilating because
oh
your
my
book means
gosh.
so much and what you do for our community is phenomenal.
Thanks. And when you go home, you're going to say to her, that woman cusses like a sailor, and
The
she's just
best.
like one of the guys.
That's how I know you're my people. That's how I know you're my people. So we're golden.
Absolutely. My friend who knows and loves me so much. Today I got this in the mail from her. My little bag of sweary affirmations.
Oh my
And they
goodness.
have all kinds of filthy language in there, and I love them.
Can I tell you my wife, I'm gonna have to send you a picture afterwards. My wife,
Okay.
I got her for her birthday last year, is one of those, those beautiful like coloring books
Yes.
where you can design, but it literally says things like F this S. I can't curse because I'm a teacher and we never know
Love
who
it.
hears it, but you can
Love
imagine
it.
what the F and the S is. So like she'll be sitting there at night and she looks so peaceful because she puts on like her meditation music or she puts a book on that she like really enjoys to read. Like she'll do a book on tape and I'm like, man, she's really like drawing or journaling something beautiful. And it literally says like, I hate people, like F this. So it's phenomenal.
You know what my favorite t-shirt is? Now I'm putting this out there for the world, but I can't wear it anywhere because it says, sorry, I'm late. I didn't want to come.
Yeah, it's the
Because I
truth.
am not a social person. I love to chat one on one and have a good heartfelt,
Yes.
but all that, like when you go to a class reunion and you got all that social crap. Mm-mm.
My 20th my 20th was this year, and everyone, and I have like my one friend, like talking about that interaction. I have the one friend who I'm like, look, if I'll go, you go, and he's like, I'm not going. I'm like, neither am I. And it was like, okay, when are we meeting? He's like, we're not going to meet. We're too busy with kids. And I was like, good. This was our
Oh,
talk. I'll see you next year. And
I love it. That's awesome. Okay, well, I'm serious. We are going to set the date next week. You and
yeah,
I are going to
big
set the
things
date.
2023. Let's keep
Yes,
going.
I love it. I'm super excited.
I am
So
too.
this will be great. All right. So we will have our men's retreat. So get ready, sign up, and you keep doing your great work with
Awesome.
your Instagram men's group at
Yeah.
My Weight is History from
Yep.
the history teacher, Beacon
Exactly.
Bob.
Yes. Beacon Bob.
Do-
I like it.
yeah, but you don't go by Bob. That's just my little pet name.
Yeah, it's fun. My dad's a Bob, but you can call me Bob. You're in the
Oh,
trust tree.
yeah. I have a Steve and a Steven. I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it's good.
All
But
right.
no, I am the what about Bob? I'm gonna come off the bus. I'm gonna have a goldfish in your book, and you're gonna be like, "What did I sign up for?" And I'm like, "We still got six. We got 6 days and 23 hours to go. What are we up to, Connie?" And you're
Oh
gonna
my
be like, "Man,
gosh.
this is too much."
So is all of your social media? My weight is history.
Yeah, it's just the Instagram account. I got to get better at that
Okay.
part, I think. But big things are coming in
Have your
2023.
kid do it. She's probably better at it anyway.
Can I tell you, my students taught me how to do reels? So I literally ask them what they look like, what they look at on their phone, and that's
Yeah,
where 90% of like my content ideas come from, and it works. So
I love that. See?
learn
Love
from
it.
your
Okay.
children.
You are a good man. I
You're a
am
great person. You
so
you were such an
grateful.
inspiration.
Here we go, right?
Let's
Here we go.
go.
Good things to come.
Yeah,
Thanks everybody for joining us. And you're not, you have not heard the last from My Weight is History Beacon Bob.
yeah. I like a full deal now. This is awesome.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay, when we hang this up, it's going to hang us up too, but I'll
Okay,
be in touch. All
awesome.
right.
Looking forward.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this. Contact Rob with questions for guys. And if you're, if you're married to somebody who had weight loss surgery, he's probably a great person for you to be in
we
touch with
we
too.
get so many wives who come into men's support just so
Yes.
that they can get the questions to get the ball rolling. If you are a
Yes.
female out there, don't think I'll answer anyone, but it's one of those, if you're a female and you want to start opening that conversation, reach out and ask me whatever I can do to help. I'm here to help people.
How brave is your wife?
Who's what now?
How brave is your wife?
How brave is my wife? So if you can't figure out, I'm the extrovert of the two of us. So
Hmm.
um
Would she do a Q&A with you live, like for
yeah, I
husbands and
think so.
wives?
I
You
think
guys
so.
should do that.
We may have to do that.
We may have to schedule that too. I'll
We're
moderate.
I gotta tell you, I see. I have to spend more time with you, Connie. I feel like you've given me like 14 things. I filled like my legal pad. I'm like ready to go,
Good.
and I'm
I
excited.
tell you, I am an idea machine, but
Love it.
there we go. All right. Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be doing this with you. Off we
I
go.
am too. I'm speechless again.
Onward and
So
forward. All
yeah.
right. Thanks, everybody.